just I don't know, it felt choppy. Did it feel choppy to play in that basketball game, or how would you describe the flow of that game?
Yeah, I feel like maybe in the second half it was a little bit choppy. I feel like games always have a kind of a point where it gets to that kind of stage because no team's going to kind of let you just go up by 10, 20, 30. But I feel like it's just kind of the way you deal with it. We've kind of spoken about being consistent, but I feel like we kind of had that little spell where we did let it get to a 10-point, 15-point game. But I mean, we came out with the win and got it done, which is important. So.
Coach, it seemed to me that NAU had a lot of good three-point looks, but they're also not a great three-point shooting team. Was that part of the strategy to kind of let them shoot threes at all this game, or was that something else?
We want to make sure the right guys are shooting them. I think that's our biggest thing. Is we're a really scout-based team. These guys do a lot of work studying the scouting report, especially on 2 days' notice. But I thought we did a good job of making sure the right guys were shooting them.
Okay. And then Ethan, I was reflecting a couple years ago. I think you were getting in foul trouble a lot. I think as a freshman, but this is kind of one of the rare games you've been. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. Do you feel that difference too, and just your ability to play defense without fouling?
Yeah, I feel like also as you get older, you kind of learn when you can give fouls and when you can't. Like today, I got an early one out of I think it was on a black ball screen. I'm kind of just realizing that a bit earlier on, and maybe just knowing that you might not be able to hit as hard on this rebound or your positioning and stuff like that. So I think just being able to learn that to be able to stay in the game, because if you have 3 or 4 fouls the whole game, you can't stay in the game. So yeah.
And then, what were they doing to try to defend you guys? Because it was a pretty obvious size advantage against these guys.
I don't know, really. They're fronting the post. I feel like we go into games and the coaches put together a bunch of film that shows us what they've been doing all season, what they did against us last year, and then we come into games and we really don't know until the last the first possession. And a lot of the time they'll do one sort of defense in the first half and then switch something else. So I feel like as a team we're pretty good at kind of just reading what the defense gives us, which I think is so good about our team because we're so positionless. Everyone can post up. So I think just being able to read that defense is what helps us a lot.
Coach, 41 rebounds. I don't know if that was a season, but I don't know if the differential was a season high, but it seemed like you guys were getting to all the rebounds. Is that height or is that length, or what do you attribute that to today?
Mindset. That's been our big thing this week. Is we wanted to focus on the offensive rebounds. We're the what's the stat? 14th biggest team in the country, something like that. And for us to be middle of the pack and rebounding in the Big Sky is not what we're about. We have a really tough physical team. That's a real identity. We're not just making that up. We have a really tough physical team, and so we worked on that this week. And for us to come in and there was 28 available offensive rebounds that we got, and we got 14 of them. So if we get 50% of the offensive rebounds available, that's a really, really good number.
I was going to write a little bit later about Ellis. Ellis is coming up. If all goes well, he's going to be the game's leader for the program. And Ethan, I'm just curious. You've been here for about half of Ellis's time.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
What do you make of his? I don't want to call it a turnaround this year, but he seems like a different player.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ellis has always kind of stayed ready. He's, from my 2.5 years here, every single day before practice, he's in there before everyone else. He does his little 30-minute skill workout, and even those minutes where he wasn't even checking into games, I feel like that shows a lot about character in terms of just being able to stay ready. And like you say, you might see it as a turnaround year, but I feel like a lot of guys, for Ellis, he was doing that last year in practice, which I know he wasn't playing in games, but for us to be able to, as a starting 5, to be able to play against a point guard like Ellis that can play that sort of defense, that's what helped us win last year. But it's nice to see this year him be able to get out on the court and do it against other teams.
And then I know we've talked about Ellis before too, but 3 assists, no turnovers, 7 rebounds, 4 points. What do you make of the way that he's impacted games this year, specifically this one?
I think he's done a much better job of impacting the game in ways where he doesn't have the ball. That's been the biggest difference from him coming in as a freshman, where he was a great point guard, but it was coming off ball screens, it was making passes, making reads, and now he can go take out another player. I mean, what he's done for our defense is incredible. He's probably up there in the country in assist to turnover ratio. I don't look at the rankings or anything like that, but he's got an incredible assist to turnover ratio. He knows when to get guys the ball. He's one of the smartest players I've ever coached, and so he can affect a game in so many different ways without scoring. And when we have a team that can score like we have, he's perfect. And he's just a great leader, great person. He's the most interesting man in the world.
And then the last question about this game. Obviously, this was the team that beat you last year in the tournament. Is there anything about beating them that's just kind of cathartic, or is that making something out of nothing? What do you think?
I mean, no. I don't think winning here at home does anything for me personally. I don't think it means anything. I don't know. We're expected to come in and we're expected to be NAU at home. That's what we're expected to do. So I think when we can win the Big Sky tournament in Boise, that will mean something to me. You know?
Anything else, Coach, with that?
That's spot on.
All right, that's all I got. All right.
Yeah.
Go Wigs!